Hey, what's up? I'm Dominique, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all my makeup secrets on how to achieve the best glowing makeup for my dry skin queens out there. If your skin type is anywhere from combination skin to moderately dry skin to even skin as dry as the Sahara Desert, you've made it to the right place because these tips are for you. I'm a dry skin queen myself, and I used to hate wearing foundation because it always looked dry, cakey, and crusty on my skin. So I've spent years trying to perfect the perfect glowy and flawless base routine for people who have dry skin, and I think I finally did it. Today I'll be sharing the best products along with some tips and tricks that will really help you slay your makeup every single time for my dry skin queens out there. So without any further ado, let's jump right in and let's get started. So the goal of today's look is to make your dry skin look as unclockable as possible. By the end of this routine, nobody will know that you actually have dry skin, because one of the biggest reasons why we can see our dry skin texture coming through our foundation by the end of the day is because we aren't doing enough skin prep. And exfoliating our skin is probably one of the most important steps and one of the biggest things I've ever done in my routine that actually I've seen a difference. So the first step is definitely going to be exfoliating your face. These are my two favorite daily exfoliators. So you can use these in the shower, you can use these after the shower, you can use these before you do your makeup. This is the Paula's Choice Liquid Exfoliant, and this one is a Dermalogica Daily Microfoliant. These products right here will truly erase any skin texture that you have, and it will get rid of any dead skin, and it will just make your skin look and feel as baby smooth as possible. The Dermalogica one is more of a physical exfoliant, so you'll see results instantly because it's a powder that pours out of the jar. So it's kind of like a face scrub. The Paula's Choice is a chemical exfoliant, meaning that it's going to work from the inside out. I always notice the results from this kind of like 24 hours later, whereas the Dermalogica one you will see instantly. We gotta get those dry patches off our skin somehow, and these babies right here will do exactly that. So after we exfoliated our face and got all that dry skin off, it's time to go in with some moisturizer. And one of my favorite moisturizers to wear underneath my makeup for dry skin is a Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. And I know this one is a little bit expensive, but it comes in a mini size as well, so definitely try out the mini before buying the big size. This cream right here is such a luxurious, beautiful, rich hydration cream to wear underneath makeup that does not cause your makeup to pill or break up throughout the day either. And I feel like every single time I use this, my makeup stays hydrated all day and it never gets dry or crusty. Now I feel like everyone knows how important it is to start your makeup with a good moisturizer, but for us dry skin queens out there, it's imperative that we start with a good moisturizer. And you don't want to go in with too much moisturizer because that could actually cause your makeup to break up. So just go in with enough to cover your entire face and make your skin feel super hydrated. And quite honestly, any moisturizer you have will be better than wearing no moisturizer under foundation. So just make sure that you use any moisturizer that you have. It's so very important for us dry skin queens to do a lot of skin prep before we do our foundation. And I always recommend to let the moisturizer soak into your skin for about 30 seconds to 1 minute before applying any foundation on top. While the moisturizer was soaking into my skin, I went ahead and I did my eyeshadow off camera because I always do my eyeshadow before I do my base makeup, because I hate when eyeshadow fallout gets onto my base makeup, so I just do it first to avoid all that. Now one of my favorite foundation primers, especially for dry skin, definitely has to be the Refi Glow and Sculpt Face Primer. Not only is this an amazing primer, but it's actually a little fun spa treatment as well. And by that I mean it has a little rolly tip applicator, so you just squeeze a little bit out of the tube and then you can just go ahead and roll it onto the skin. And I can't lie, this feels so fun to do. Now the reason why I love this so much, especially for dry skin, is because the formula of this primer feels just like a hydrating serum. I'm not even kidding, it feels exactly like a serum. So you know us dry skin queens are gonna love anything that adds extra hydration to our skin. So after I apply it all over my face, I just go ahead and I rub it into my skin. And as this starts to dry down, it actually gets a little bit tacky, so you know it's really gonna grip to the foundation and make it last all day long. And how could I forget to mention that this primer gives my skin such a beautiful glow? I mean, do you see that? When I move my head, the light just catches onto my skin and makes it look so fresh and dewy, and that's exactly what we're going for today. And always make sure to let your primer soak into your skin for about 30 seconds to 1 minute before applying your foundation on top. Now for foundation, the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation is by far my favorite foundation for dry skin, and in this I wear the shade 200 Light Medium Neutral. Now for us dry skin queens, how we apply our foundation is very important because you do not want to risk your foundation looking dry and cakey throughout the day. So first, I always recommend pumping one pump of the foundation that you're going to be using on the back of your hand, and that's right, just one singular pump, because it's way easier to put on foundation than it is to take off foundation. Then I'm going to take a little foundation brush and I'm just going to pick up a little off the back of my hand and I'm going to start applying it directly to my face. I always like to start applying my foundation at the bottom of my jawline and then I work my way up towards my cheekbones. And I like to do this because I feel like I have the most texture on my skin right on my cheeks, and I feel like that's the area that really gets the most dry on me. So I always make sure to apply the smallest amount of foundation over those areas. This foundation has more of a medium coverage to it, so I really don't need to go in with a lot to cover my face. And plus, Lady Gaga herself, who is the CEO of House Labs, says that this foundation has 80% skincare ingredients in the formula. That means us dry skin queens are gonna feel super hydrated all day long when we wear this. And now look at that, I used one pump of the foundation to cover my entire face. Now I'm gonna take one of my favorite glowy setting sprays, and this is the e.l.f. Cosmetics Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. And I'm just gonna give my skin a nice little spray. And then I'm gonna take my little beauty sponge, and I'm gonna spray the back of my sponge. To make sure that the sponge isn't too wet, I'm just gonna go ahead and dab it off on my towel. And once the setting spray on my face is almost dried down, but not completely dry, you wanna go in with your beauty sponge and really press the foundation into the skin. This sponge hack right here is really gonna make your foundation look so smooth and flawless, especially in person. Now moving on to some concealer, today I'm going to be using the Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Concealer. And in this, I have the shade Cotton. Now I like to use this concealer for my dry skin because as I apply it, it feels so creamy and it's also super hydrating. So I'm just gonna apply a little underneath my eyes, and then I'm also going to highlight the center of my face with this concealer. I feel like there's no magic trick for concealer when it comes to dry skin besides using a good product. But besides that, you can really do your concealer routine the way that you like it. Because you know, if you skin prepped well enough, your concealer will just glide onto your skin and melt in just like butter. And I just really love the way that this concealer looks on my skin throughout the day. And you know, it's dry skin approved because I have dry skin and it's one of my favorite concealers. So to me, it's completely approved and I love it. Now after the concealer is all completely blended into the skin, I'm gonna do the exact same sponge hack that we did with the foundation. So with the e.l.f. setting mist, I'm just gonna give my skin a little spray. I'm gonna spray the back of the sponge one more time, dab it off on my towel, and then I'm gonna go in and press the concealer into my skin. And this is really gonna do the exact same thing. It's gonna smooth everything out and just make your concealer and foundation look just like your skin, but even better. And doing this is also gonna help prevent your concealer from creasing throughout the day because your sponge is actually helping to pick up any extra product that would just sit on top of your skin and crust up and cake up throughout the day. Now it's the time in my makeup routine to add some bronzer to this face. And today I'm going to be using the Say Liquid Dew Bronzer in the shade Swim. Now for us dry skin queens, using some cream products throughout your routine is going to be extremely important because cream products actually have the most hydration. So I'm just going to apply some to the hollows of my cheeks. I'm also going to apply some around the perimeter of my forehead and along the sides of my nose as well. Oh, and you cannot forget the jawline either. So now I'm going to take my little cream bronzer brush and I'm just going to stamp it out onto my cheeks. And I'm going to lift it up towards my temples to help lift my face. Every time you apply some bronzer or some blush to your face, you should always bring it up so you can help lift your face. Now do you see how easily this is blending out onto my cheeks? It's one of the creamiest liquid bronzers that I've ever tried, so it feels really nice on my dry skin. And not only that, this product is literally called the Dew Bronze because it leaves my skin with a beautiful dewy finish. And you already know by now, if any product is going to make my skin look super dewy and hydrating, sign me all the way up. My dry skin is just going to love it. You see how my skin just has a nice subtle glow to it? It's not too intense to the point where I look sweaty and wet. It's very natural, but it just makes my skin look super fresh. And wow, what do you know? I'm gonna do the sponge hack one more time. I seriously do this hack every single time I add a cream product to my skin. It doesn't matter what the cream product is. I'm always gonna press it in with my beauty sponge after I apply it. It is mandatory, especially for people who have dry skin. I mean, this is really the key to success here because this sponge is gonna make your skin look super insanely smooth, smoother than you've ever seen it before. And I'm not kidding when I say that because this is one of the hacks that actually made me like my skin in foundation. So I will never ever ever skip this step in my routine. I don't care how late I'm running, I will be doing this step. I don't care, it's a mandatory requirement in my routine. Now let's move on to some liquid blush. And today I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush in the shade Pinky Promise. And again, this is such a wonderful dry skin liquid blush because it adds a beautiful glow from within to your skin after you apply it, and it's just so gorgeous. So I'm just gonna add one dot of this blush to my cheek to start because this is insanely pigmented and you really only need one dot. And like I said, it's way easier to put on than it is to take off. And then with my brush, I'm just gonna blend it right out. And of course, I'm gonna bring my cream blush up towards my temples. I love this e.l.f. blush so much because it blends out so easily. Even though it's insanely pigmented, it's very easy to work with. You just have to know to not go in with the amount of blush that you put on when you use this. I mean, do you see right here at this ankle, there's a little bit of a glow on my cheek? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for. I don't want that natural glow to leave me ever. And that's why I'm making sure that all the cream products that I apply to my skin has a glowy finish. You know, for us people with dry skin, we never want to use anything that says the word matte. Matte is a complete no-no for us. Unless you have a killer dry skin routine, then maybe you can venture into the matte products. But until you master your dry skin routine, just stick to everything that says glowy or dewy. Or even luminous, that's a good term too. There's just so many makeup terms used to describe glowy or dewy or luminous makeup, but all three of those words mean pretty much the same thing. In the makeup world, that is. And I bet that you can guess what's coming next. I mean, what a surprise. I'm gonna spray my face. I'm gonna spray my sponge. I'm gonna dab off my sponge onto my towel, and then I'm gonna press the cream blush into my skin. And it's important to really do this in between each step, because each time you go in with your beauty sponge, you're helping the foundation look better, you're helping the concealer look better, and even the cream blush and bronzer. I mean, hello, can you see how glowy and beautiful my skin is already? Yes, yes, yes. Now listen. I know us dry skin queens out there really don't like to use setting powder because it makes us look even more dry. But I'm telling you, you don't have to be afraid of powder, especially when you find one that's suitable for dry skin. So my top 2 recommendations are definitely the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder or the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. These 2 are wonderful options because they're so insanely lightweight. And quite honestly, I think this e.l.f. powder is a dupe for this Hourglass one. They feel exactly the same on my skin. The finish is almost exactly the same, and they're just so beautiful and gorgeous, and I'm obsessed with both of them. I've repurchased both of these multiple times already at this point, so that's how you know they're a good product. So today I'm going to be a little bit bougie, and I'm going to use the Hourglass Veil Translucent Setting Powder. Now the key here is to only use the tiniest amount of powder needed to set your face. You know, you really don't want to go in with the powder, you just want to lightly dust it over your face enough to where it's actually set into place. So I'm just going to take my little powder brush, and I'm going to lightly start dabbing it directly under my eyes to help set my concealer. Setting your concealer with some setting powder is definitely a mandatory requirement in every single base routine. I don't care what your skin type is. Powder is really the only thing that's going to help prevent your concealer from creasing throughout the day. And to be honest, your concealer is going to crease throughout the day anyway, because that's what concealers do. I mean, your eyes have creases underneath them, so where else is your concealer supposed to go? But if you set the concealer into place with some setting powder, your creases are going to hold up a lot better. And one of the reasons why I love this setting powder so much, besides the fact that it's super thin and lightweight, is because this setting powder actually gives my skin a beautiful glow from within. It's still going to set your skin, but it's not going to remove every ounce of glow that you had. And now I'm just going over any areas that would typically crease up throughout the day, like my smile lines, my nose, and my T-zone. Now if you don't want to set your cheeks with some powder, you don't have to, especially for us dry skin queens. You know, that's not mandatory, but in the chance that you do want to set your entire face, don't worry, because you totally can. You know, I like to set my entire face with some setting powder sometimes, so I like to take a really big fluffy blending brush, and then I just swirl it around into the powder, tap off the extra, and then I'll go like this, and I'll make super big circular motions over my cheeks, and this is going to help lightly diffuse powder all over my skin to help set it into place. But today I feel like leaving the cheeks and the forehead blank with no powder. So after I set my entire face with some setting powder, I like to go back in with some powder bronzer and just enhance that bronzer effect, because you know, I feel like sometimes powder just takes away from that bronzer. And quite honestly, in my opinion, I think any skin type can use any type of powder bronzer. You know, a powder bronzer is a powder bronzer. They're all going to do the exact same thing. And the one that I'm using today is a powder bronzer by Makeup by Mario in the shade Light Medium. You know, if you don't do this step right here and you don't go in with some powder bronzer, your skin might look a little bit more glowy because you don't have powder bronzer sitting on top of your cream bronzer. So I will say this step right here is not completely mandatory to have the most glowy skin, but I'm a full glam girl, so I want to look as beat as possible, okay? And I don't think going in with some powder bronzer is really going to take away from the effect of the glowy skin. And don't worry, because I still have a few steps in my makeup routine that's really going to enhance this glow. So we're not done yet. And now I'm going to do the exact same thing with some powder blush. And today I'm going to be using the Pat McGrath Labs powder blush in the shade Divine Rose. Now I really do love this blush shade right here. It looks so beautiful. It matches the e.l.f. blush perfectly, and it just gives a beautiful dusty rose effect. And you know, this is just like the powder bronzer. You can really use any powder blush that you have, because blush is blush, and I think that any skin type can use any powder blush and any powder bronzer. There are some luminous powder blushes if you'd like to use one of those, but this one has more of a velvet matte effect, and you know, as a dry skin queen that I am, I don't see any issue with that. It doesn't make me look more dry, and it doesn't make me look crusty either. And the good thing about layering cream products first before going in with some powder products is that you don't have to use that much of the powder bronzer or the powder blush to really see it. If I didn't have cream products underneath, I would have to use significantly more powder bronzer and powder blush just to make it look this pigmented. So that's why I always recommend for dry skin to have a hydrating base underneath powder products, because then that way you only have to use a little bit of your powder products. So it's always a good day when we only have to use a little bit. Now if you're wondering what this is on my face, it's just powder because I like to bake my face. Yes, that's a little bit extra, but it's how I like to do my makeup, so it is what it is. Now of course, for dry skin, a highlighter is mandatory. You know, we really want our skin to be as glowy as possible, right? So today I'm going to be using the Benefit Cosmetics Cookie Highlighter. Now I really love this highlighter because it looks so beautiful and blinding on the skin, but also because it does not cling to any of my texture when I apply this. And you know, us dry skin queens are gonna eat up a good highlighter, that's for sure. So I'm just applying this to the highest points of my cheeks, and I like to apply a lot of highlighter. So much that I actually look like a glazed donut. Because as a dry skin queen that I am, I need to go in and add as much highlighter as I possibly can. And don't be afraid to let lightly dust some highlighter all over your face in areas where you actually want a nice glow. So for me, I love when my forehead is glowy. So I'm just lightly going back and forth over the area so it lightly blends it out as well. Oh, and of course you can't forget the tip of the nose. And one of the best things about this highlighter is that it makes my cheeks look super glowy, but it does not make my cheeks look cakey, dry, or crusty at all. It's a very subtle glow from within that's not super glittery, so it's very flattering and gorgeous when you apply it. And last but certainly not least, if you want your skin to be as glowy as possible, we need to go in with a super glowy and dewy setting spray. So of course I'm going to be using the same one that I've been using throughout this look, and this is the e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. So now at the end of our look, we are going to go in with the amount of setting spray that we use. And I'm telling you, we're basically going to drench our face with this. So I'm going to cover my eyes so I don't mess up my eyeliner or mascara, and I'm just going to spray this all over my face, and I'm going to get it to be soaking wet. Honestly, the more wet that you make your skin with this, the glowier it's going to be. I mean, you want your skin to be super wet, basically to the point where it's almost dripping off. And then I'm just gonna sit here and let it air dry. And as it starts to dry down, it melts all the powders into my skin, and it also leaves a beautiful glowy dewy effect. I mean, this setting spray step right here is so insanely important, you cannot skip it. I'm telling you, this step right here is mandatory if you're a dry skin queen, because this setting spray right here is really going to take your makeup from dry and crusty to beautiful, flawless, and glowy. Also, this Dalba First Spray Serum is incredible for leaving your skin with a beautiful glow. I mean, you don't have to be as extra as I am, but I'm going to be layering this directly on top of the e.l.f. Dewy Coconut Setting Mist. This is really just going to add some extra glow. I literally wear this when I have no makeup on. I wear this on top of my bare skin because it makes my skin look super hydrated, very glowy, and just so fresh. I'm so extra when I do my makeup. I layer 2 to 3 setting sprays every single time I do my makeup. And these 2 setting sprays right here are the ultimate glowy skin combo, that's for sure. And that's it. Those are all my secrets to how to achieve the best glowy base makeup for dry skin. And as the certified dry skin queen that I am, I'm telling you, these are the real makeup steps that I do every single time I do my makeup. And I know it might seem a little bit extra, but guess what? We have dry skin, so we really need to make sure that we take care of it every single time we do makeup, and quite honestly, every day in general. And as I'm sure you know, dry skin is not an easy thing to tackle, but when you use the right products along with the right techniques, your base makeup is going to look incredible every single time. And didn't I say by the end of this look, we're not even going to be able to tell that we have dry skin? Well, I'd have to say that we did it, because if you take a look, dry skin where? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you learned a few tips and tricks to incorporate into your makeup routine to help your base look as glowy and as fresh as possible. Of course, as always, I've linked all the products that I mentioned in today's video down in the description box for you, just in case you want to go ahead and check any of them out. And before you go, make sure to leave a comment down below letting me know what is your dry skin hack that you do every single time you do your makeup. Of course, as always, I've linked all the products that I mentioned in today's video down in the description box for you, just in case you want to go ahead and check any of them out. And I'll be back next week with a brand new video, so make sure to go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss when I upload my next video. And then that way we can really become besties. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with me today. I had so much fun sharing with you all my makeup secrets on how to get this dry skin to be as glowy as possible. And if you've made it to this point in this video, shout out to you. You are such a real one, and I'm so grateful for you. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Oh, and P.S. don't forget to subscribe so that we can truly become besties. I love that for us.